Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone, wherever you may be joining us across our lovely green planet. Thanks so much for joining us. We are live here today for the one and only Serverless Office Hours, streaming back again on the AWS Twitch channel, on our YouTube Serverless Land, and also via LinkedIn Live. My name's Julian Wood. I am a developer advocate for Serverless here at AWS, and I'm super happy to be joined by returning guest Corneliu Croitoru. Corneliu, how are you? And welcome back to Serverless Office Hours. For people who may not know where you've come from or what you managed to be doing, particularly with Edge stuff at AWS, can you let people know?
Yeah, thanks, Julian. Yeah, really glad to be back. Yeah, so I'm Corneliu. I work at AWS. I'm part of the prototyping team. So part of my job is to build prototypes with customers in a few weeks, which is really cool because we are able to do things really fast. And prior to AWS, I was a developer software engineer working on different kind of projects like backend, front-end, mobile apps, whatever. So I touch a little bit at everything. So yeah.
Cool, excellent. And Achraf Souk, Achraf, this is your first time in Office Hours, so welcome. I was going to, Corneliu's, in France, I'm in London. It's actually bakingly hot today, but I didn't want to make any silly comments about that because Achraf's in Dubai in June, so any kind of temperature that we're sweltering under, Achraf is like, you got to be crazy. So how have you landed up in Dubai? And yeah, tell us your journey to AWS.
It's quite hot right now in Dubai, and it's hotter when you have like a dog you need to take out every day.
Oh, yes.
Thanks for hosting me. Glad to be on your show. I joined AWS 7 years ago. Wow. I'm part of the specialist solution architect. We're focused on edge services. So basically, our bread and butter is helping customers making their websites faster and more secure. That's what we do all the time. What else? Like I was based in France, and I relocated to Dubai 1 year and a half ago. And so far, like this year, my main occupation was my kid. So I became a father in February. It's taking a lot of time. Thank you.
No silly joke about something else on the edge, a little baby on the edge, but anyway. I could have thought of something better. That was terrible. Anyway, we're going to be talking a lot with Corneliu and Achraf very shortly, but just looking back over the past week in the world of serverless. Balwant and Jatin last week talked about integrating time series databases. It was a whole new world for me. I wasn't quite sure on how sort of time series databases meant and how they all kind of worked. And Balwant and Jatin all spoke about how you can now integrate it much easier within AWS using Event Bridge pipes. And yeah, really great use case and going through all of that. So that is on our Serverless Land YouTube channel, along with all previous Serverless Office Hours episodes here. A great back catalog of content. What's new in the world of AWS Serverless? Not a huge amount over the past week, but just if you aren't aware, I love the one with Amazon S3, where you can now just upload objects to S3 and Amazon Guard Duty can jump in and do its own kind of thing. And yeah, just detect malware in a new object that's uploaded automatically. Absolutely love it. In terms of blog posts, Mesh on my extended team has put talking about ECS workloads on Fargate and using customer managed keys. So if you aren't aware, this is a customer requirement often to have their customer managed keys rather than AWS managed keys, and everybody at AWS is trying to move this out to as many services to get you even more security that you can have on the cloud. So that's it. It is AWS Summit season at the moment. So the Japan Summit happened last week. Washington Summit is happening tomorrow. So I know some of our colleagues are going to be in Washington. These are great free technical events. Lots of thoughts and attentions being put into putting these all on. So if you are near where a summit is going to be, and more are being added to the list during the year as well, I really highly recommend that you go and take a look. So we are live here on Office Hours as well. We always love to know where people are joining us from. So Daniel Habib, friend of the show from Brazil, happy to learn about frontends as well. Ex-colleague, sad to say, but good to see you. Dave Boyne is talking about Office Hours, and he obviously is sweltering in the UK as well. And joining us via YouTube, Andy Mehelik, thank you for joining us from Connecticut, UK. And, well, Guillaume Marchand, hello from Paris as well. Guillaume, welcome to Serverless Office Hours. So, yeah, love to know where you are, and it's incredible to see the community, the serverless community that has been built around this as well. So always loving to find out what's going on. But this week we are talking frontends, CloudFront Hosting Toolkit deploying. That's a lot of words for an intro. Achraf, tell us about how this all fits together and what yourself and Cornelia have been involved with building.
All right, already. Thank you. So Listen, we have a lot of things to unpack here in the title. So I suggest that I start talking about CloudFront, a couple of words, explain a little bit the context, why we work on this project. I will explain what kind of problem we're trying to solve, and go through the technical architecture of this project. And then I will hand it to Corneliu, who will go through demo, the code, more in depth into the solution. So in the name of the project, the CloudFront Hosting, there is CloudFront, and it's a central piece of the solution. And this is a service that I support in my area of specialty. So as you know, we have, like AWS has 33 regions globally where you can host your workloads. But it's not the only infrastructure that AWS operates. There is the global edge network that basically slurps traffic into the regions. And on this network, we have a set of 600 points of presence of basically racks of servers of a managed service called CloudFront, which is the content delivery network of AWS. And it is used by our customers as the entry door for their web applications. So it's consider it as a fleet of reverse proxies distributed across the world, on which customers they can enable and activate different functionalities. So there's a first family of functionalities that is focused on security, typically like AWS WAF and everything that comes with it, the bot control and all of that kind of stuff. There's also the logic that you can offload to the edge. So if you want to, instead of having your logic implemented in each of your microservices, you can deploy it once on the entry door to your application. Let's say redirections, HTTP redirections, A/B testing, things like that. And finally, you can enable caching for improving the performance and scale of static content. But also there are other techniques to improve the performance of non-cacheable content, such as dynamic APIs. Cool. So sharing a little bit of context on the team that was behind this project. So last year we kind of sat together and we decided that we wanted to improve the developer experience for customers that are using AWS services, so notably CloudFront. So there was a couple of work streams that came out of this group, and it was a group of myself, Corneliu, Luca Mezzalira, probably you know him from the micro frontend world, and also Christian Graziano from the CloudFront service team, who's a product manager. So first, there was a lot of launches, native feature launches in CloudFront that improved the developer experience. So more native dashboards, more integration, native integration with AWS WAF. So things that can be done easier in the console, right? On our side, we released a couple of material, like a blog, that is a little bit back to basics, explaining the mental model of how you kind of fuse CloudFront and WAF and such services. And also we released a section in the AWS Developer Center called Application Security and Performance. So it's a section that in which you can find everything related to the edge services domain in AWS. So there's like the what's new, latest blogs, latest videos, but also a set of articles that covers like 80% of the most common use cases that customers ask us about, like image optimizations, bot managements, things like that. And CloudFront Hosting Toolkit was one of them. So let's move to this. So to host a web application on AWS, the easiest way is to use Amplify hosting, right? Amplify hosting offers a managed web hosting on AWS. This is like taken from the landing page of Amplify hosting. I personally host my own website, personal website, which is like just an HTML with a couple of other assets. On Amplify Hosting, it's really, really easy. Just connect my GitHub project to Amplify Hosting, and that's it. I don't have to care about anything else, and that's very suitable for me. And we expect that this will be the case for 80-90% of customers, right? Now, what we noticed is that there is a segment of customers and developers, like those 10%, that have requirements that are not very aligned with a managed service. So if you want to go and customize all the low-level components of your hosting infrastructure, right? Amplify Hosting will not allow you to do that because it's a managed service. Its role is to abstract all of that for you, and it does it in an opinionated way, right? So what we noticed is that for such customers, or let me give you some example. Actually, what kind of things that customers would like to change on the low-level components, right? So, for example, they might want to add some edge functions to customize the logic of their content delivery. They might want to add some routes on the same domain, associate a web application firewall. Maybe they want to implement a multi-region, deployment for their application with specific routing. Maybe they want to encrypt their hosting S3 bucket in a specific way, or in their pipelines, they want to introduce things that are not present or available in Amplify Hosting. For example, A/B testing in a specific way, quick rollbacks, and things like that. So when a customer has this need, they have to fall back to basically building things themselves, right? And what we noticed is that today, if they need to do it, they have to really start from scratch and discover everything from scratch, right? They have to understand how CloudFront works, integrated with S3, build the pipeline, figure out how to do the atomic deployments, and all the requirements for a modern web hosting infrastructure, right? And so this is what the problem that we try to solve, and what we wanted is to provide a blueprint for such customers to avoid them to start from scratch, so they can have something that is working, and then afterwards they can take it, they can customize it, they can play with it the way they want. So it reduces their time to actually go build a customized web hosting infrastructure.
Okay, yeah. So I mean that makes sense. So it's not as though this is another service that's doing the same thing as Amplify. Amplify is great. Serverless Espresso. Anyone use Serverless Espresso? The workshop, the whole thing at various kind of booths around the world. Serverless Espresso runs on Amplify. Serverless Land. I should have mentioned that first one. I mean that gets a lot of traffic. All the serverless patterns, all that kind of stuff runs on Amplify. I do a lot of the management of that. It's a Git push, and it appears on the website. It is just so cool, so cool and awesome. So, yeah, that's the way that is going to be simple. But I completely understand that there are some kind of things you want to do differently. I would challenge customers to sometimes think about: do we actually need to do those things differently? Because there are many people who work in their own kind of way, and a managed service is always going to be better. But yes, between a fully managed serverless and oh no, I've got to run everything myself and configure everything myself, CloudFront Hosting Toolkit is in that sort of middle ground of giving you some sort of more knobs, levers, things that you can customize yourself to sort of get you part of that Amplify experience in a way, but you managing it yourself, but not starting from the bare bones.
Absolutely. And if you think about it, like in the big picture of AWS, our promise to customers is the depth and breadth of services, right? So the idea is that we will provide them with building blocks that are suitable to the level of management they want, right? So they want bare metal EC2 instances, EC2 serverless, like they kind of decide what level of abstraction they want, and they will find the right service. And this project came to bridge a gap where on the lower level side, we didn't have like anything that can help customers get bootstrapped very quickly.
Yeah, and in fact, that's an interesting point you make, because we talk about AWS being a lot of Lego blocks, and we'll admit that sometimes those Lego blocks are not the easiest ones to fit together. And in a way, Amplify is one of those interesting services where, although it is a hosting service by itself, behind the scenes, it is using CloudFront, S3, Lambda, Cognito, DynamoDB, all these kind of things that you can add to it. And so it's actually, Amplify is us building a service that runs on our own Lego blocks, but all nicely connected together. And I can see, CloudFront Hosting Toolkit has more different Lego blocks that you can configure yourself with different colors and different sizes, but we're making just that little bit easier to build your applications.
Awesome. Cool. So that's what we were just been talking about. Those are some sentences that are taken from the announcement blog. So we're really trying to help customers deploy well-architected front ends on AWS while retaining control of the underlying low-level components. And the toolkit creates for customers the hosting infrastructure, but also the deployment pipeline that is, Git-based workflow. And then customers, from that moment, they are free to go and change the underlying components as their requirements need, basically. So let me dive a little bit into the key features that we started with. This is like the minimal lovable product, right? So we started first supporting single-page applications and SSGs, so statically generated websites. Then we have integrations with GitHub, so very easy to connect your GitHub repo to the toolkit, knowing that if you do not want to use GitHub, you just want to deploy an artifact that you already built using your own pipelines, right? We also support that. If you just drop the artifacts to an S3 bucket that we deploy for you. Most importantly, those are we allow you to do atomic and immutable instant deploys, so your customers, the users, can see the latest version of the website and not a mix of both while deploying, right? As a customer, as a developer, you can use deploy the infrastructure in different ways. So you can deploy it as CDK, right? Construct, or actually have access to the CDK code itself and change it. And to make it even easier for customers to get started, we wrapped the CDK with a CLI that can be downloaded using NPM to get started really, really quickly. Of course, the infrastructure, the hosting infrastructure, includes the best practices that we recommend for our customers in terms of security and caching. We'll make sure that we optimize the caching, and we implement some of those recommendations in security, such as security headers and others. And there are things that will come also in the space. And of course, we make it easier for developers to enable a custom domain name for their website using this CLI. All right, so let me show you a little bit how things work. So the first component is the deployment pipeline. So it's quite simple. Whenever there's a new change in the website, so if it's in GitHub and you have connected your GitHub repo, we detect that and we trigger the pipeline to build the new version of the website. Or if you can just upload the zip of your build to an S3 bucket, then we also detect that and we also can trigger the pipeline. With the pipeline, we use code pipeline to orchestrate everything, code build to do the actual building, and step functions to orchestrate the changes on the hosting infrastructure to actually reflect the latest version of your website to your users. And I will show you how. So for the hosting infrastructure, we're using Route 53 for the DNS, of course, CloudFront for the CDN. And we're using CloudFront function associated with the key value store to actually make sure that the users are routed to the latest version of the website. So basically, what we do is we deploy a new website into a new directory in S3 bucket, and when the deployment is done on the S3 bucket, the CloudFront function automatically routes the traffic to the new directory, right?
So are these the atomic deploys, sort of like feature flags, so you can do the sort of A/B?
Exactly. And
that's a cool use case. I never thought of actually using a key value store with CloudFront functions in that kind of way. Cool.
That's a great comment, actually, Julian, because we thought about it this way. Today, it allows us to do this atomic deployments, but it will allow us in the future to do things quite easy. So we will be able to introduce quick rollbacks very easy because we will keep the old version, right? We can roll back in seconds, or we can do A/B testing. So we can add some logic, some rules to the key value store to say, send me 10% of this new version to my website in this country, for example, right? Those are things that we've done a lot with customers. I've had those kind of conversations with customers a lot. And with this, we thought about this infrastructure with the forward thinking to allow us to implement them in the future and the roadmap. So let me show you how this works in a sequence diagram. So basically, the user, let's say, is going to the About page. First, it is received by an edge location, so CloudFront. Let's say, first it will execute the CloudFront function before evaluating the cache. So before going to the cache, the function will get the last build ID from the key value store, and based on that, it will basically rewrite the URL to point the About in this directory, right? And for the first request, if it's a cache miss, it will go to S3. Otherwise, it will be directly served from CloudFront. So get / some build ID, then About HTML, right? Plus, we will be adding the .html using the function, right? And then we return the response to the user. Now, let's say, so now we have the Git push workflow. So the developer pushes a new change, and which triggers the pipeline that will fetch the code, build the new version, and upload the new version to a new folder in the hosting S3 bucket with the commit ID as the directory name, like the folder name, and then we will be instructing, we will be changing the value in the key value store to this new build ID. So the next user, when they come, in this case, same thing will happen, but this time we will get the new build ID, right, from key value store, and we will be rewriting it to the new build ID. In this case, it will be cache miss because it's not in CloudFront cache yet, and we'll get it from S3 and serve it to the user. So this is how it works. Do you have any questions on it before we kind of hand it to Corneliu?
No, I think it's good. We haven't got any questions, but yeah, let us know if you are watching, if you do have any specific questions. I think those walkthroughs were pretty comprehensive. So yeah, I think that looks great.
I can add to that we put a lot of thoughts into it, and we wanted to make sure that it's a solution that is like an architecture first that is forward-looking, let's say, so it allows us to add feature. It is as simple as possible without adding delays and latency to kind of updating the website, and also that it would work for most of the customers, right? We don't want, maybe we could have done it in a different way that is more optimized, but it would require a lot of changes from developers on their website, which is like contrary a little bit to what we want to do. But those developers who wants to do that, they can.
I suppose, yeah, we do actually have a question from Taslim. I'm sorry if I've got your name wrong. What if you want to revert to a previous build? We know that's in the key value store.
Yes.
How does one configure that?
Yes.
Thanks for joining us, by the way, from YouTube.
So this is something that we have in our radar for the roadmap. So to be able to do it like using the CLI, just a quick command, CloudFront Hosting Toolkit rollback. But today, if you want to do it manually, you can just in the key value store change the build ID to the previous one, and that's it.
Okay.
Actually, Corneliu, maybe you need to please correct me. How long do we keep the previous build? So I think they need also to change that because we delete it after some time.
Yeah, indeed. Currently, we delete all the previous builds because we don't have the rollback feature yet. But when we implement this, we'll keep a certain number of previous builds to which you can roll back.
Yeah, so there will be two changes that we need to do to make it happen. So the first one is when there's a new build, we don't delete the old one. Right now we do that, so it's not difficult to change the code and revert. So remember what was the last build ID and revert back to it.
And I suppose is asking, is it possible that we can generate a revert PR and the old build will be deployed? Okay, so that's not a PR to roll forward, but undo the PR. I suppose that's going to go through the whole build process again, rather than just sticking a switch.
Of course, you can do that. This is what people, if I'm not wrong, they do today with Amplify hosting. Of course, but the thing is, it will take time to deploy, right? So because you'll go through all of the steps, you're gonna build your website again and all that. So it will be a little bit slower than if you just revert.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Cool. Corneliu, do you want to share your screen and we can see it all in action?
Let's see some code. Yeah.
Always love seeing some code. So yeah, thanks for the questions so far. If you have any others as well, let us know. Yeah. And yeah, just something I was thinking of as we're switching over to the screen. We were talking about Amplify, and don't ever think that CloudFront Hosting Toolkit means that Amplify isn't going to evolve. Amplify is going to always be adding more features and functionality as well. And so yeah, don't think that if you're invested in Amplify at the moment and you're worried about the future of that, or you have some use cases and some further functionality for Amplify, please let us know. We'd love to build that certainly within Amplify, and the CloudFront Hosting Toolkit is specifically for that gap between.
Absolutely, and let me add something to this. We spoke to the Amplify team, like we in AWS Amazon Word, when we release something new, we have to write some documents to explain the ideas. We call them PR FAQs. So we did that, and we had like the Amplify team reading, and we collaborated closely with them to make sure that we're not reinventing the wheels, and we're just positioning ourselves in where we have actually a gap, and that was really helpful. And one of the outcome of this collaboration is that according to the feedback that we hear with customers, Amplify team will probably give us more options to manage some part of the infrastructure, right? And we considered, okay, if Amplify goes into that direction, how we can integrate both solutions, right? So maybe use Amplify for the management of the pipeline. If customers would love the just all of the management bit of the pipeline to be using a managed service. But for the CloudFront bit, let's say, if they care about having control on the CloudFront, maybe they can still use the CloudFront hosting tool. So there will be things like that will be brainstormed.
Cool, yeah. That sounds great. And also remember with Amplify hosting, Amplify's got version 2, which came out, I believe, reInvent. Yeah, I think the last reInvent. Yeah. So that's 6 months ago. Can't believe it's 6 months ago. And that is all architected around the CDK. So what means that previously people used to use Amplify and they were like, okay, I get to the boundaries of Amplify and then I'm sort of stuck. But now it's all in CDK, that actually Amplify generates everything in CDK code for you. You could also go and customize a whole bunch of stuff over there as well. But yeah, enough Amplify. I'm desperate to see the demo as well. So Corneliu, I have your screen up. Cool. Let's deploy some websites.
Yeah, I'm going to show basically how it works, right? So like Achraf said, there are 3 ways where you can use this toolkit. One is a CDK construct. Second is the CDK code itself. And the third one that I'm going to show is the CLI, right? The CLI is the simplest way because you basically don't need any AWS knowledge, right, to use it. And I'm going to show how I do this. So I have here like a simple project in React.js, right? Something very basic. I just created to showcase this. So it says just some hello world stuff, right? I have the CLI installed. So it can work in two ways. One is if you have already the project cloned on your machine, you can go in that folder, and I'll show how it does. But if you don't, you can also execute the CLI, but you need to manually enter all these values. And I'm going to show what are the values. So I'm going to take the CLI. So there are two commands basically. One is the init, which basically allows you to initialize your project to be deployed with the toolkit, and then the deploy, right? So let me run the init command first. Is it big enough the font?
Yeah,
or?
Even for my old eyes, I think I can see it.
Right. So I'm going to hit init, right? So the CLI will try to identify the information out of my project, right? So the first one that it needs is what is my GitHub URL. You can see here it already pre-populated because it found some information in my repository. I can of course override it, but in my case it's okay. I'm going to hit enter. And then it's going to ask me what is the branch name that I want to use, which will trigger the pipeline at every push, right? So in my case, I'm going to just leave main, but of course I can change it. And then it will try to identify what is the framework used in this project, because I mean, I assume you know, each framework that you use to build the front end are using different build commands, right? Like you have React.js, you have some commands. If you have Next.js, so right, this allows you to identify the framework to provide you out of the box a configuration for your website. So in my case, is a React. You can see it's already detected React. Then it's going to ask me, do I have a custom domain name that I want to associate with this CloudFront distribution? If I have, I can select yes, and then it will guide me. But for this demo, I don't have any domain. I'm going to leave no. And then this is pretty much it, the initialization phase, right? I can show you here, there is already a new folder that has been created, which is CloudFront Hosting Toolkit inside of my project. And I'm going to show you in a second what's inside and how we can use it, right? Before that, I'm going to trigger the deploy command, right? I'm just going to hit deploy. And then basically here there's a wizard that will guide me if there are some actions from me that I need to do, and this is pretty much it. I don't have to do any other things. Of course, now it's going to deploy this in my account, so I'm already authenticated against my AWS account in this terminal. So you should be doing the same if you want to use it. So it knows in which account to deploy it, right? So there are two phases. One is going to create whatever is needed to be able to configure my GitHub repository with my AWS account. And in this case, we can see here on the screen, it stopped and asking for something. And basically, now what I need to do is configure my repository with my AWS account, which means this CLI doesn't have any token whatsoever on my laptop, right? Everything is done between AWS and my GitHub account. So let me show you what is. I need to switch my screen. I'm going to share on my screen, so it's going to be a bit of matrix effects for a second. Okay. So in the terminal it says, okay, I should go. Do you see my screen?
Yes, we do.
So in the terminal it says, okay, I need to go to this page. I'm going to paste that link. It says, okay, there is a connection with this name that isn't pending, right? So what I need is just to validate this, right? So I'm going to select the connection name, hit update pending connection. And because I already configured my account with my GitHub, I have less steps, but everything is written in documentation. So this is my GitHub application on my GitHub account.
Just a quick question. Can we use private repos in GitHub?
Yeah. This is a private repo.
Authenticating, yeah. This is a private. You're authenticating to GitHub, yeah. Cool.
Exactly. I hit connect, and now it's available, right? I'm going to switch back to the other screen. Sorry for the matrix again.
That's quite all right. We're heading deep into the demo.
Now I'm going to, you see here, it says, okay, open the following page. There's a connection list, with this name, you need to go, and it says if it's impending, you should do this, and that, right? So I done. I enter OK and hit enter, and from this, I don't have any action to do for this website to be deployed. Everything is going to be automatic. Now, during this time, I can show you what is in that folder that I just spoke before, right? So there's a folder that has been created by the CLI. I hit the initialization command. So there are three important files that are been put in here, right? So one is a file that basically holds the configuration of whatever I answer in the wizard, like what is the repo URL, what is the branch name or the framework. Of course, I can manually change them if I want. The second is the file, because I choose React.js. There's already a template that is brought to you, which basically is used by code build to build your website. So you can see here, these are the commands that are being used for my website, because I said it's a React.js framework. So basically, npm install, npm run build, and then I'm going to switch to the build folder and then copy those files to S3. Right? Nothing complicated in here. And the third file is a file that was mentioned by Achraf, which is the content of the CloudFront function that basically is used to switch to route the request to the right folder, right? And the reason is why we wanted to add this also, because all these files we can customize it if you want, right? For example, in here, basically going to rewrite the URLs to point always to an index.html page, right? If I have something in my application that says /about, it will redirect me in my folder on S3, and then /index.html, right? And the same, if I want to modify my build commands, right? I can come here and modify. Maybe I want to do something extra beside what is here, or maybe I want to change it because my website, even though it's a React, I customize some commands. So now, for example, it's not build folder, but another folder, right?
Or you're aggregating content from multiple places, and maybe multiple S3 buckets.
You're free to do whatever you want here, basically.
That's the point. Yeah, cool.
And that's why we copy this in your local folder, which means you can also push this to your GitHub repo to have everything in there. If you want to deploy it from somewhere else, you can just clone it, have the command, you just run the toolkit and deploy command, and it will work, right? Because the initialization phase is done already. So let's look at the terminal. So it's still deploying, right?
So is this using actually CDK under the hood to do the deploy?
Exactly. So there are some parts where it's only CLI, which is basically TypeScript, Node.js commands. But other than that, when it starts deployment, because of course it's CDK code. And I can show I have the project cloned on my machine also. This is basically what you can find on GitHub. So if you go here in the lib folder, you find all the CDK code that is used inside the tool. So you can cherry pick some code if you need for other projects. Of course, you can go and see, okay, how did we do for example, the configuration between CloudFront and S3? In our case, we're using OAC, which is the new way and more secure way to secure the traffic between and block any direct traffic to your roster bucket, right? All the stuff is available in here. You can have a look and see how it works, how we did it, and you can even use it in other projects.
So did the initialization step create all of those CDK files?
No. So when you install the project, the CLI, it will install basically the CDK code in your local folder somewhere. Here I'm just cloned the project, right? And then when you're the init, it will just copy these 3 files and that's it. But if you want to say, okay, the CLI is good, but I want to do more because I want to customize it more, right? You can clone the project and then go modify any CDK code that you want, right? And then deploy the CDK code in
that makes sense.
right? Instead of the CLI. So it will take a bit more time because the first time it's a bit long because it's going to create all the resources.
I mean, this is a global deploy as well. This is you're not just deploying a Lambda function and an S3 bucket. This is literally distributing all the stuff across the globe.
Yeah, so CloudFront usually takes a couple of minutes to deploy, and in reality, CloudFormation behind CDK basically only says it is deployed when all of the servers of CloudFront around the world said, yes, now we received the change. But in reality, if you go to the console, the CloudFront distribution is already there and it's already working because it would be received already by 99% of the network. There's this 1% that will kind of make it big.
But I mean, that's at some. I mean, from two things. CloudFormation has sped up a lot as well. There are loads of optimizations they're making behind the scenes to improve their deployment time. The CloudFront deployment is also, I know that has sped up recently as well. But that's sort of one of the trade-offs that I sometimes explain to people when they talk about, CloudFormation takes a while. But when it's finished, you are 100% sure that everything has been deployed. There's no magic behind the scenes. So do you want to be 100% deterministic, or we can deploy some things quickly, but you're going to create a VPC, for example. It's going to take some time to check that everything is 100% up and working. You deploy an EC2 instance. On Serverless Office Hours, I should be, shouldn't be talking too much about that. But we want to make sure that that's all up and running and all working. So you trade off a little bit of time to be 100% sure that CloudFormation is doing its thing.
Yeah, and we're I know that the service team on the CloudFront side and CloudFormation are doing everything they can to kind of incrementally reduce the time to deploy. So just for the anecdote, when I joined AWS 7 years ago, it used to take 40 minutes, 50 minutes to deploy a CloudFront distribution. And it was amazing in the industry at the time because it was one of the few CDNs that allowed customers to deploy CDN as a service, just using the console. The rest of CDNs require some, manual intervention from their providers and so on. And moving forward a couple of years now, it's it takes a couple of minutes, which is great improvement.
Yeah, today seems forever when you say 40 minutes, right?
Absolutely.
That's what we have today. Yeah. So
do you have any examples of, what are the kind of things, even from the default install, that customers may want to change? Or what are some of the use cases you've seen where the sort of first thing that people are using the CloudFront Hosting Toolkit because they want to, have more control of something?
For example, what I've seen, maybe you want to add something, Achraf?
Go ahead.
What I want to add is, for example, we've seen customers where the build configuration that we propose is not working out of the box because they have something different, right? So just by modifying that build that YAML file and just deploying again, basically solves the problem, right? Because like you also have an Amplify tool propose your configuration, but you can override it because there is no standard way of doing things, right? It's always a customer, you have something customized, right? So this is, for example, a use case that I've seen since the beginning, where this had to be customized, modified from what we propose out of the box.
From my side, what I hear a lot from customers is the delivery part that they like to customize. So everything that is related to CloudFront. So they want to add their own edge logic. They want to add the WAF. They would like to do A/B testing. A lot of things that they would like to customize. So I would say this is the low-hanging fruit for customers. But I can also see customers wanting to, let's say, they want to encrypt their S3 bucket in a specific way, right? They have some requirements, or maybe they want to do multi-region deployment, and they want to route requests according to certain logic to region to another. All of those things would be possible using the toolkit.
Okay. Yeah, that's some good info. Yeah, and great questions coming from Mohammed Taslim. Yeah, silly doubt. I don't think any doubts are silly, but how should one know all the services which will be active after a deployment to keep track in case of failure?
Yeah, so actually I would say it's very easy because what we deploy here, we deploy what we call a stack, which means all the services or the resources deployed are brought together to this stack, right? So if you go in the CloudFormation section on your AWS account, you're going to see two stacks, one for the GitHub connection and one for the main stack. And under the resources tab, you have all that has been deployed on your account. So you have the list of everything. And of course, the same, when you destroy the stack, it will destroy everything together, right?
Yeah, in fact, that's what we were talking about earlier with CloudFront, CloudFormation doing its thing. We're relying on CloudFront under the scenes, and so CloudFront is very deterministic. CloudFront is not going to succeed if this finds any kind of error within your stack, and hopefully the error messages are going to be useful. But yeah, if CloudFormation is happy that it's deployed, I think I'd be certainly confident that has actually worked.
Yeah. Maybe also I can take advantage of the deployment time today and talk about,
because 3 of us staring at that 64% doesn't seem to be making it go faster. So yeah, I don't know what we're doing wrong. I think everybody watching needs to have a look, speed it up.
It looks like a demo effect,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe we didn't do something.
By the way, I can talk about that. So like the deployment of a CloudFront relies on the control plane, which is built differently than the data plane, right? So sometimes if there's anything that is going on the control plane, deployment times get a little bit longer. And if you're one of those lucky ones doing demo during those kind of moments, so it seems that it is the case today. I will take advantage and talk about a couple of things, right? First one is regarding the roadmap and what we would like to, what are the things we're thinking about to add for the future, and how we would like your inputs to guide us, right? So there's a couple of features that we're thinking about. There is the preview links, right? So to kind of see preview of your new deployment before actually deploy it. When we launched it on social media, we heard from multiple folks that they were asking about server-side rendering. I guess this is something we will be considering as well. We're spending some time on improving further the performance and security, maybe adding image optimization automatically to it. In this live stream mode, I think you asked about A/B testing and quick rollbacks, something that we can easily add as well. And we had the feedback on observability, so maybe adding some dashboards, maybe including RAM analytics also in an easy way that could help. So those are the things that we're thinking about right now. Now, if you have any feature request, please open a PR on the GitHub page. Maybe Corneliu, you can talk a little bit more about it on this, and also on how they can contribute, because this is an open source project, and we would love to see contributions from the community as well.
Yeah, and I see there's a question on the chat.
Yeah, so Lucidate, thanks for joining us via Twitch. Does repository connection need to be set to GitHub, or can I use any other remote control version? Presuming that use any other repository or any other service.
Yeah, so today only GitHub connection is supported, but we want to add more repositories. And like Achraf said, I mean, if you create an issue on the repo, say, hey, I would like to have this will tell us, okay, the customer needs this, so let's do this first instead of something else, right? Because the thing is that we want to launch this, but also to see, okay, what are the customers asking for us for the next features, like is A/B testing, is rollback, is maybe GitLab instead with GitHub, So we want also to see what the customer asks. So that's a good point that I'll add on my list. But yeah, we plan to support much more repositories.
Yeah, we've also got another interesting question from Pelapaz via Twitch. Is there a way to deploy to Amplify using Azure DevOps repos? I applied a solution syncing Azure DevOps repos to code commit, but is there a better way to do it? Pelapaz, I'm not an expert at all really on the Azure DevOps repos. That is, as I understand it, Azure's Git commit, Git sort of hosted Git version. I know that Amplify can do. Let me try and remember off the top of my head. Amplify can do Bitbucket, it can do code commit, it can do GitLab, and it can do GitHub as well. Yeah, I don't have any quick and easy answers if there's a better way to do it other than doing some sort of Git sync, which I understand is a pain. But from two perspectives, that may be worth an issue on the Amplify team to be able to support that other kind of repo. But also some repos are actually quite good at doing the syncing. I even believe, could be wrong as well, but I think GitLab has got quite a good sort of sync from GitHub as well. So that may be something you can think of as well. But yeah, I can't think of any other quick option. I think you may have the reason that works at the moment.
Okay, maybe I can switch my screen to go to the console, because indeed it's not moving, which is really strange because it's way too long than usual. So let me go and see what's happening on the console.
Yeah, maybe we have a brought down by 64%. It's all
okay, so do you see my console, right?
Yes.
So like I said before, everything is deployed as a stack, which is our CloudFormation service. So I'm going to go to see the stack in here, see what's happening. So you see I have a stack that is called Hosting Engine AI, which is in progress. And so the CLI, that's why it doesn't move, because this is still in progress. And I go to events, and I don't know why, for some reason, from 39 minutes, it doesn't change. So there must be something somewhere. I can't say what, because
if you go to try the resources, that sometimes is helpful. Just looking at the resources tab.
Yeah, we can see, for example, what. Okay, so you
so
see the hosting part is not yet. Yeah, so the CloudFront distribution. Okay,
cool. So CloudFront is a little bit busy at the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
It is what it is.
Other than that, you see everything is already there, and we can have a look also at the maybe the pipeline. So the pipeline that has been created is this one, which is in my Norwegian region. And this is the pipeline. It has basically 3 steps. One is the source, which is basically the step that will download your code from your repository. Second is the build, which basically is is executing that YAML file that I just showed you. If we go here, we see all the logs and everything that has been executed, right? And then the third step, maybe more interesting, is the step function that is going to add the commit ID in that key value store. So the step function looks like this. It has 2 steps currently. One is to update the key value store, and the second, like I said at first, it will delete all the previous folders because we don't use them. And this might change if we add the rollback feature, where we need to keep one folder maybe, or many more in the past, to be able to switch between them, right? So this is
cool. So it's cool that you're using step functions here as well, because also I can see any kind of future things. It's hopefully easy to put into step functions where you've got just an use a cloud native service to be able to do any of this orchestration stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, this really, I love cloud function. I think on my previous project I use step function. I think it fits to many use cases.
Yeah, definitely. But then the bigger point here is Corneliu has jumped to all the different services, so it's using the full services behind the scenes. You can see in the CloudFormation stack, you've got full visibility of everything that is being deployed, and off you can go and customize to your heart's content.
And Corneliu, I just a quick one. I wonder if like there was a deployment that was already succeeded, right? The website was built and deployed to S3 bucket. You can try the CloudFront domain name and see if like.
We should have done one of those cooking shows where we had one prepared earlier.
Let me see. So this is the domain name. Let's see. Yeah. Right. There
we go.
So this is
what pretend that the deployment work. This is what it actually looks like.
Yeah. So this is what I was saying before. Is like in reality, it has already deployed to 99% of the CloudFront servers around the world. But sometimes, from time to time, there's one server that is not responding, or is stalling and kind of stalls the CloudFront mention, because like you said, it won't say it completed unless everything was completed.
So someone sitting like looking at this URL, maybe in, I don't know, Kenya or Bolivia or New Zealand or something, goes, it doesn't work for me. It hasn't quite happened all over the world, but yeah, 99% of it is done. So
exactly. And what I want to add is that you see this domain name that I picked up from here. So basically, the CLI at the end, it will display here. This is domain name. You can go and open it. It will check also the state of the pipeline. In our case, but pipeline is already ended. But if the deployment is going a bit faster, the pipeline maybe will be in progress. So the CLI will tell you, hey, the pipeline is still in progress. It's going to say, okay, waiting to be finished. And when everything is done, it will say, okay, pipeline is finished. You can go and use the website. And again,
and then also, future deploys are going to be much quicker as well. Obviously this is taking extra time. Something's gone a bit funky with this kind of one, but even if it was an initial deploy, it's going to take a few minutes. An actual website deploy to push that out through CloudFront for an existing distribution is going to be much quicker.
I mean, if you make a push, what will happen is it will trigger the pipeline, which has the code build that build your websites, and that's the function which has 2 steps that are going really fast, right? So it will take a few minutes. I think I did some testing at some point. I think like less than 2 minutes or something like this.
Because ultimately it's backed by S3, so S3 is the world's biggest website hoster, I think, and so everything's backed by S3. So I suppose you have one S3 origin, and then CloudFront is grabbing from that. So in a way, your website files aren't actually being distributed all over the world, and it's just using S3 as the origin. Is that my correct understanding, or have I got that wrong?
Achraf, I did. I'm not sure I followed what you said.
So S3 is the origin to CloudFront. So actually, it's just one copy to S3. CloudFront is then going to cache that content locally only when you access it. So it's not as though we are, deploying the website and copying it to CloudFront servers all over the world. That doesn't. Yeah, that's not the process as far as I understand.
No. And I think when you do a git push, the longest time is in the code build, because I mean, triggering the code build basically is a queuing mechanism. It's not straight away, so it may go a bit faster or not. And this is why it's taking a bit long. But the step function, for example, that is really fast because it does two small commands.
Yeah. Well, our time is sort of nearly to an end. We've got a few kind of seconds. You can't accuse us for not being live and doing canned things here in Serverless Office Hours. Sometimes the gremlins were here to mess around with us, but hopefully you can understand the process that would happen, and ultimately a URL would be pushed out at the end, and you'd be able to access that, and then future updates would be over there. Well, before we say goodbye to Corneliu and Achraf, just remember Serverless Office Hours is back same time, same place next week, and they actually are talking more about APIs. Brian LaRue, who's an AWS Serverless hero, and he is the co-founder and CTO of a company called Begin. And I think he's been doing faster serverless APIs for 8 years. So Brian is well known in the serverless community. And we're going to be able to pick his brains and get all his info on how he does really some cool stuff with serverless APIs, which is a sort of perfect match made in heaven. Don't forget also that we have a lot of content on serverlessland.com, more things being added. In fact, talking APIs, coming soon, there is a new sort of API learning guide, which is going to be happening. And don't forget the serverless patterns, workflows, snippets, and repos, a whole bunch of stuff on Serverless Land. But for today, Corneliu and Achraf, thanks so much. We really appreciate you spending our time and teaching us all about the CloudFront Hosted Toolkit.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
And everybody else for joining and the super cool questions. Thank you very much. We'll see you same time next week. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.